Feeling well, huh?
Yep, that kind of day.
All right, I guess we're 9 o'clock, ready to get going? All right, let's get going. Snap. I like it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the Marathon County Infrastructure Committee meeting to order for Thursday, April 7th. It's 9 a.m. We do have a quorum present and between the members here in person and the members online. We'll go ahead to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing no public in the room, do we have anybody online? Seeing what appears to be only staff, we'll close public comment and move to item number 3, approval of the minutes of the March 3rd, 2022 Infrastructure Committee meeting. What is your pleasure? We have a motion from Seiler. Do we have a second?
Second from Robinson.
And a second from Robinson. Any clarifications or questions about the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. We have 4 ayes, and the minutes for March 3rd, 2022 are approved as presented. Moving on to item number 4. We don't have anything for this item for policy issues, discussion, potential committee determination, so we'll move on to 5. Operational functions required by statute, ordinance, resolution, or policy. Vacating right-of-way. 51133 O'Plain Park. Take it away.
Thank you. We're just bringing it up here to share the screen. This item came up with the broadband expansion out on Highway C, east of Resolve, Dancy area. There is an area that they would like to put one of the towers up. We're just going to flip it here, and we'll have it up on the screen here in a second. Should be on your screens, right there it is. The area between those 2 red lines, that shows when you look at what is recorded as the right-of-way out there, that is the recorded right-of-way. You'll see directly south of that where the road actually is placed. So we need to vacate that right-of-way just on this one parcel, so we can get the tower in for the broadband expansion. Michael did some research on that, and what we need to do is, today, we'd like to present it to the committee to vacate that right-of-way. Then we actually have to have a public hearing after 40 days. So we'd like to get the process rolling. I know the landowners out there, nobody has any issue. It's just to follow the steps to vacate the right-of-way out there. Seems like a lot of work for vacating some vacant land that we've never touched, but that is the process. So in your packet, you do have a resolution for that. Michael's online. I don't know if the proper procedure to be to pass the resolution today or to just move it forward so we can get the ball rolling, Michael.
I think so. In looking at 661003, it does require, when we're vacating right-of-ways, to have public hearings at least 40 days after introducing the resolution. I think if the committee today deems it appropriate, it could move the resolution forward to the full board for that public hearing and ultimately potentially passage.
Yeah, and I can speak on this a little bit. I've gone through similar processes, and like you mentioned, it is a complicated process, and there's a public hearing associated with it. I mean, it's in good faith in that making sure that we're not vacating right away that somebody else is going to utilize to access their home. In this case, it doesn't need to be. So really the intent would be that it's our intent to move forward with this resolution and hold a public hearing in the future.
Correct.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Quick question. Do you ever anticipate that we would need that right of way in the future? Or would we want to maintain an easement or anything, Jim?
No,
For
we
a
have,
new significant expansion?
no, we would have no use for it, so it's no future expansion. The road is wide out there. It was, what it is the road wasn't deeded in the right place at the, when it was built, so it's just a wrongly recorded deed. No need for it ever in the future.
I would move that we advance the resolution to the county board for consideration and for the purposes of holding a hearing.
We have a motion from Robinson. Do we have a second? Second from Seiler. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We are on to item number 6 on the agenda, educational presentations and committee discussion. Do we have Brian online?
No, Brian had
Okay.
a meeting yesterday, and he did not know if he'd have any new information at the
Okay.
meeting. So he said he would join if he had something, so I'm assuming there's
Okay.
nothing new though.
So item 6A was Central Wisconsin Airport update. We have no update. So we'll move on to item 6B, annual report for municipal separate storm sewer MS4 permit. Take it away, Kevin.
Okay, thank you. The annual report was included in your packets. We worked with CPZ in getting this completed this year, and then we wrote it through Lance for his signature and approval. This is for our MS4, it's the storm sewer systems in the urbanized area around Wausau. We have a permit for DNR for that, and that requires us to report on it annually. We have educational activities and outreach things that are coordinated through the North Central Wisconsin Stormwater Coalition. Those are all included in here, and I guess I would take any questions anybody has on it, or if you'd like some additional information on it. Otherwise, it's kind of in there for your information, and we document that we bring it to this body so that you are aware of our activities with it.
So just one thing, this is a follow-up that came from the ERC meeting on Tuesday. There was a concern about the use of salt brine on the roads, especially pre-treatment of roads, and the potential environmental concerns associated with that. You guys want to just comment on that at all?
Salt brine has kind of become one of the BMPs, the best management practices for winter maintenance activities. We use it both before storms and during storms. What it does is before storms, you see the salt brine goes down, the white streaks that are out there. What it does is it helps eliminate that bond from ice forming on pavement during minor events rather than having to send out 35 trucks the next morning to clean up a minor frost event and put granular salt down. That brine on the road helps mitigate that and take care of it. It also helps if we get bigger events that it scrapes off easier. During snow events, we use that brine to activate the salt. Salt doesn't work on its own. It needs moisture to do its thing. So our salt brine is about 23% salt and 77% water. That water makes it activate and work faster out on the roads. It also helps keep the salt on the roads. So we use that to make that salt kind of stick to the roads. If you have bare ice on a road and you drop dry granular salt on it, by the time semis and cars go by at 60, 70 miles an hour, you're losing a bunch of that out to the ditch where it's not doing anything other than getting into the environment. So we use that salt brine to help keep that on the roads and to work faster. So that's been increased throughout the state. It's been a lot of initiatives. The Wisconsin DOT has pushed for that to help kind of be more effective and use less salt on the roads. So it is a very high number, though. We use tens of thousands of gallons of it to help be proactive in keeping our salt on the roads.
We save about 30% of the salt just by putting that on top of the salt. So if we wouldn't put it, it's gonna be a lot more in the ditch. That's what they calculate is about a 30% loss of salt if you don't put brine down with it, just with the bounce.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have any questions, comments? If not, we're looking to approve the report. What would our action on this be, or just, there's no action? All right. Go ahead, Supervisor Seiler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would approve the report as presented.
Yeah, we don't even need to, I think I'm just as long as there's nobody with any questions or comments, we'll just move on to the next item. We don't need to approve it, so
Okay.
thank you for that, though.
Sure.
Moving on to item 6C, broadband update. Supervisor Robinson, go ahead. John, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my screen as we talk. And I'm not able to get at the document. But thank you for the action at the recent county board meeting where we approved the public service grants. Based upon what was submitted, Frontier is looking to potentially serve 10,626 units, Serenity 368, and Bug Tussle approximately 605. My concerns is that there is some overlap between Frontier and Serenity. I think we were able to minimize the overlap between Frontier and Bug Tussle, but we continue to have some, and we'll let the PSC work through that. We're working on as a task force a process by which we can make better use of our resources in the future. The concern is that we've typically invited the ISPs, internet service providers, to submit a proposal based upon what they see the needs are, and they tend to continue to be driven many times by return on investment, and it's hard for us to serve those most difficult areas in the county. So we're going to be looking at the information we're generating through the Geo Partners survey or the speed test to identify target areas in the county where we can focus our resources and really go out and encourage the ISPs to submit proposals to serve those. We have to date received 2,201 responses to those speed tests at 1,514 separate locations. There are 57,707 units in the county, so we're below a 5% target or an acceptable target range. So we need to do more to promote the use of that speed test. The areas that we have the most critical need is in the western side of the county, and we'll be sending out next week to the new county board a email with a link to the speed test and in the current results, and we'll be encouraging them to promote the use. And we're looking for other ways to accelerate or to increase the public's awareness of the need to complete the speed test. But we continue to be hamstrung by PSC and FCC maps that are inaccurate, that show areas served, and we know that they're not served. And the only way that we can counter those maps is through a collection of data. So the Geo Partners speed test is critical for us, and we encourage people to take it a couple of times a day. And I knew Supervisor Dickinson has had different issues and different speeds at different times of the day, and it's important for us to track that. And the beauty of this speed test is that it will collect all of those and show if there's differences at time of day and other things, and give us additional information. Nor Al-Hassam and Jerry and others will be looking at have access to the back door, and this information will be able to interpret it and use it more proactively in future grant requests. So I just wanted to give you an update, and we will be trying to communicate with the public in the new county board on the need to get more responses. So Jerry, anything to add?
Just one other thing that John and I and Nora have been working on, looking at what we want to put out on the web. So we've been starting to get together information that we're going to put on a broadband information page that'll be on the web. The one thing I really want to make sure that's out there that I know we can get is a really good quality map of Bug Tussle's fiber route and a good quality map of all of the fiber that's available from Wittenberg Telco. The other providers have been unwilling to give us really good quality data, but at least we'll have that out there. And anybody that's looking at maybe buying a house can look at that, and at least they'll know whether or not they're on those fiber routes. And so we're Nora and I and John and Ed Locke from our web team are just starting to put that together.
Does anybody
on Bug Tussle? Bug Tussle is working on a little video on what their program will be, and that will be made available. They're partners with us in that we were part of that $70 million conduit bonding. $25 million of that is dedicated to Marathon County And given the county's role and relationship with them, we've asked them for some promotional or informational items, and they will be working on Bug Tussle University as well as trying to prepare that video that we'll have available on our website as well as Bug Tussle's website.
One other thing, John and Randy, if I may.
Yep.
The Bug Tussle ended up signing with K&M Electric, and they are going to have up to 11 crews. So those are the trucks that you're going to probably see out there doing field work. And it sounded like they were going to start pretty soon, obviously as soon as the frost is close to out of the ground, which is getting pretty close. The crews, I know the Charter Communications fiber crews already started. They started about a week ago. So I would expect Bug Tussle to start probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, it sounded like. And they have a lot of reels of Interduct out at the Stratford Highway Shop. And I put him in touch with Brian Grief at the airport and with Melissa Johnson out at Solid Waste. They're going to stage some other equipment out there.
Sounds good. Supervisor Seiler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. John, is there any way from those speed test maps or that we can actually get information from the town halls and the municipal centers, particularly in the rural areas? Because I know, and I've heard from other supervisors as well, that some of the local officials from, the places they do business, sometimes they go days without even being able to get email. And so I'm not sure how many of them have taken the speed test, but is there a concerted way that could be done, maybe independent of the speed test, because that's such an inherent part of government function? So I'm just curious about that.
Well, they could run the speed test and give us the results, but I know that there's a lot of granular data, but there's also some privacy rights within the GeoPartners spatial data. We can look for it if we know the address. We might, Jerry, if you had a chance to really dig into it, we may be able to do it, but we're bound by some privacy agreements relative to Geo Partners on what we can do with that data. So we might be able to aggregate it, but I don't know at this time.
I think probably the best thing to do would be to have Kim reach out to all her contacts, Kim Trueblood, the clerk, and ask them to both run the speed test and to report back to Kim, well, maybe to Nora, John, and get that data. John's right, the GeoPartners, you can't look up a specific address in there. In fact, they actually randomly move the dots around with enough that you can't look at individual houses. But that we know exactly where all those properties are. And the last couple of elections, there's usually been about 3 to 5 of them that have had problems. So, I mean, a couple of them rolled their equipment out into the parking lot.
I've heard, yes.
And then the last couple of elections, I don't know what happened this one because I didn't ask Tuesday night, but in the past, I think 2 of them have had to drive their equipment, their data in and give it to Kim. So there's about, I did look at this last year, there was about 5 that have really poor connections.
Right, okay, thank you for that. And it makes sense, as you said, John, about the privacy issues, but because we know that there are some who have severe issues, and even though the notices have gone out about the speed test, it just seems that it would make good sense to make a very concerted effort toward those particular entities to be sure that we're getting them the broadband they need to conduct their business, because some towns have great websites for their residents to participate and be involved in, and others struggle to get even email. So it's a real disparity in how our local governments can communicate with their residents. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on the broadband update?
Hey, Mr. Chair, this is Supervisor Dickinson.
Go ahead.
One thought is, would we allow, or would we put it on the supervisors to contact the school districts, or should we communicate directly to the school districts, say out in the western part of the county, so that they could send out like sky alerts through their communications to parents, sending out that link?
We have reached out through our distribution list, which tends to go to superintendents, which I think are very overworked. So I'm not sure that it's there, but we are in the process of updating our communication policy, and I think what we need to do is work with the IT staff and maybe their communication directors. But we will be trying to do that. We will also be going out to the Towns Association meetings and others. And one of the things that was suggested at the last meeting of the task force was to have information available at the polling place. We couldn't pull that together for this election, but we're looking at trying to get information out for the August primaries to have flyers and other information. We have to make sure that it's separate, but we are trying to focus our efforts on the schools because that's a great group. Some of the agricultural groups, the Farm Bureau, Farmers Union, and others, in an effort to get out there. But it's in that Marshfield area, that western tier of towns where we're really lacking data. So we'll work with anybody and everybody.
Any further questions on the broadband update? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6D, update from Highway Commissioner. Go ahead.
Thank you. Couple things on here. I'm going to jump down to two, then I'll come back. The upcoming federal funding program, the highway program, you had a spreadsheet in your packet showing what I have all applied for. Just kind of give you a heads up on anything with the BIL, that's a bipartisan infrastructure law, that those are those things that we applied for. That does not mean we have them. Any of the things listed as STP, those are projects that we have been awarded. The couple other notes is the county trunk for 2023. You notice I applied for a county trunk highway T, a county trunk highway J, and a county trunk highway X project. A little over $8 million worth of projects I applied for. That's total costs of the projects. I was at a meeting on Monday, and I found out that what Wisconsin did is they had $173 million. 15% of that was supposed to be set aside for the rurals. But the 173 was split apart in quite a few different pots of money. So they only allowed 15% of what was in the rural pot of money to go for projects such as towns and local municipalities, which comes up to a little over $8 million for the entire state. I applied for $8 million for Marathon County. So for us to get those projects, I don't foresee that happening. You know, we might be able to get one. I've been talking to the state. They were going to send it to me hopefully for today, but never received it. How that money was divided up to 173 in different pots of money. So I'd like to see how that was split up. They did say that the rural pot will get larger for the upcoming 23, 24, 25, and 26 projects. So I'll resubmit those projects in there. So overall, in the bipartisan infrastructure law, I did submit in 5 bridges and 5 road projects. I'm a lot more confident in the bridge projects I submitted because they added another $45 million just to the bridge program. The last cycle of bridges, which I was just awarded last week, every bridge in the state that was applied for was awarded. They didn't have enough projects to do that. So we were awarded those. So I'm more confident that the BIL projects, and I'm going to submit the 5 bridges, will be awarded hopefully to us in the upcoming years. And those again are in the 25, 26 range that those projects will be going on. Also on that spreadsheet, you see one of the biggest numbers we have out there is the County Trunk Highway K project to cater up to the county line. We have funding from safety funding coming. That's a HSIP, the STP Rural, the STP Urban, and the multimodal project. Costs are going up every day here with the oil prices the way they are. So we're projecting about a $9 million total cost on that. That project we are now obligated to. So the $4 million that is our share, that could go higher depending on the cost, but that is a project that's coming up next year that we are committed to that project. Beyond that, it's a very large number on the bottom, the $41 million total cost. But if you look at what Marathon County's costs are, it's $12 million. As I told Lance, and we had some conversations, the way I like to put this is, if you had something out there and you really needed to buy it, and it's something you needed, which we do need these roads and bridges, and it was something personal you want to buy, and it was $41, you open up the paper on Sunday and found a coupon, you could buy it for $12, I think you would buy it. I mentioned the Lance, this is the same thing, just a lot more zeros behind it, but when you can get a $41 million set of projects for $12 million, it's something that I hope the county board goes ahead and considers and approves that funding. Besides that report, we, going back up the top, there is a summer road school coming up, June 6th, 7th, and 8th down in Wisconsin Dells. For a couple, we don't know what this board's gonna look like when May rolls around, but once we find that out, anybody interested, that's coming up again in June. Down at the Highway Department, we currently have 4 job openings. We're doing interviews for those. 2 of those positions are mechanics. We're gonna move one of those positions to the road because we are so busy on the road right now with our road jobs. So we're gonna move one of those positions to the road and only hire 1 mechanic. I've spoken to Molly in HR. That's gonna be our goal right now. If we find that we're overwhelmed in the shop again, the next time a road job comes up, we'll just convert that back to mechanics. So it'll be a net 0 for increase our allocation. We have a lot of trainings coming up here at the Highway Department on April 13th. We're sending 2 people to Wood County to get certified for pesticide spraying. April 14th, we're sending 6 people up to Rhinelander for some general asphalt preservation and culvert installation training. April 20th, we're gonna have our all staff training. We're gonna get everybody recertified because with COVID, we kind of fell behind on CPR and first aid, so we're gonna get everybody retrained on that, which is required for us because of the chainsaws. We're gonna do some lifting and rigging and tie down. Clark Electric is gonna come up and do a demonstration on dangers of working around power lines. We're gonna have somebody working with the tar kettle. Mary Jo's got a few presentations from risk management. We're gonna talk about poisonous weeds such as wild parsnip and poison ivy and other ones that are out there. And then Phil is going to, Phil Remster from Emergency Management's coming down to talk about tornadoes and lightning. You know, they had the tornado drill here on Monday. For our guys, they're out in the field. We have no basement to go in. So Phil is coming over to talk to us. He's actually, hopefully he's gonna have somebody from the National Weather Service out of Green Bay to talk to us about what to look for in that, and also a little HASCOM training. April 11th through the 15th is Work Zone Awareness Week, with Wednesday the 13th being Go Orange Day, so wear your orange in support of all the workers out in work zones. The WCHA, we're looking at hiring an associate management firm to take over some of the day-to-day operations, such as event planning, their website, helping with meetings, agendas, minutes, membership, financial marketing, and strategic planning. So we're gonna probably have a firm called Impact. They're gonna do a presentation on April 20th at our board of directors meeting, and hopefully sign some contracts shortly after that. The last 2 items I have is I want to thank Kendra. Today's Kendra's last day for doing the minutes and agendas for us. We'll be taking that over by the clerk's office. So today's Kendra's last day for doing all the minutes for this meeting and getting things running. And also thank the existing committee for all the help and support you have given myself and the Highway Department over the last couple of years. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Just real quick on the federally funded projects, specifically looking at County J and County X, being more familiar with those than the other projects on there. I know that they're definitely in need of work. If we're not able to get the funding that's been applied for as part of that bipartisan bill, do you have alternate funding in the works?
They'll just go in our regular paving program at that point.
Gotcha. And that would affect probably timeline in terms of when they would be approved?
Correct. The Highway X could possibly happen in 2024, yeah. So it'd probably be pushed back 1 year on those.
Gotcha.
They're in our paving program.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody else have any questions on the commissioner's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6E, update from CCIT Director. Take it away, Jerry.
Good morning. I just wanted to cover one particular project, and that's our Workday project. This is a huge project we've been working on. We've got probably 30 people in the county that are already involved in it. Its schedule is up in front of you right now. Hopefully you can see that. We're working with Collaborative is the consulting company that's doing the implementation with us. We've finished the plan stage and the architect stage. We just finished architect stage about a week ago, and we're starting. If you look at that line on there that says today, we're starting on configure and prototype. We'll be working through that for the next 6 weeks or so. This is the first chance we've had to see our what's called our tenant, and they're just this week. The team is just starting to see that and identify things that need to get changed. So we'll be working through that over the next couple of weeks. And then, as you can see on the schedule, around the middle of June, we start testing, and then it switches. Then we have to sign off on testing later in the summer. And then in fall, we'll be doing parallel testing, and our go-live dates are at the end of the year. It actually has to go live in December because we have payrolls that start in December but pay after January 1st. Project's on schedule. It's on budget at the moment, but it is causing a lot of stress in our teams because it's a lot of work. And so we are looking at some other help. We have some money set aside for other resources, and we're continuing to try to find the best people to do that. Lance, do you have to add anything? You've been on a couple of the meetings. Okay. That's the most important project we have going on at the moment. We've still, when we did the multi-factor authentication project, we had to put a lot of other stuff off to the side, and we're continuing to try to get back to those projects, and some of those are pretty far delayed, so that's been, as of yesterday, there was a good stress with one of those, something that got delayed quite a bit for that project, but that wrapped up at the end of February, and so my point is we're still doing some cleanup on that. We have just received a resignation. We have someone leaving in a few weeks, and we have an additional position, we're interviewing for a management position that was when Jane Heil passed away last fall. And so we have a fair amount of hiring we're working on at the moment as well.
Does anybody have any further questions on the CCIT Director report? All right, seeing none, thank you for that report. Moving on to item 7, announcements, future meetings and agenda items. The next meeting will be on May 5th. And before we get to adjournment, I just want to take a chance to thank the committee members for the past 2 years. I want to thank the staff. It's been a pleasure working with everybody. And at the end of the day, I hope we made some difference in the county. I'm up for item 8.
Mr. Chairman, before you do,
Go ahead, John.
I would also like to thank you and Supervisor Seiler, and as well as Supervisors Gums and Christensen and Johnson for your service, not only to this committee, but to the county board. I think we've all benefited from that, and in particular, your service to this committee has been very helpful for the county, making inroads into better understanding the funding for highways and the need for critical infrastructure. So I want to personally thank you and the others for your contributions. And this committee doesn't seem to be very good for your long-term tenure. It's Supervisor Dickinson and I are the only 2 survivors.
Thank you, Supervisor Robinson.
And if I could add.
Yep, go ahead.
I also want to thank you, Randy, and all the other supervisors who won't be with us anymore. It's hard. I guess I look at it this way. I'm new to the process. I'm new to the county. This past 2 years has been difficult. I've found this particular committee very good to work with, very well run, good insight by everyone. I never found it political or anything like that. We're really focused on having good discussion. And so the people who won't be with the board anymore, I personally will miss working with, and I just wanted to share that. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Dickinson. We're up for item 8. Supervisor Seiler had the motion. Do we have a second? Robinson with the second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. And thank you, everybody,
Aye.
once again.
Aye.
Have a good rest of your day.